All right. We should be live on YouTube, Rumble, and Odyssey. Now, I had to switch up my streaming software because I wanted to do a couple of things different. So, anybody watching right now, if you go in the chat and just let me know the audio is okay, I'd really appreciate that. And what are we going to talk about? Well, actually, before we start, I just want to say that I put one of the reasons I switched the software so that I could put the Rumble chat up in the screen as well, because I couldn't do that before with the other software that I was using. So, people watching on Rumble, don't let me down. Go into the chat. There must be somebody who wants to call me a Zionist or an Elon Musk shill or my favorite, controlled opposition. Now, if I'm controlled opposition, I have to say, this is not an effective use of the controller's resources. Like, really? Why? This isn't making any sense. We control every channel. We're controlling every channel. They're all controlled opposition, except for one. Radio Baloney. There's 6 people watching it on Rumble right now. Everything hinges on Radio Baloney. Not making a lot of sense, but that's what you get. That's what you get for being on the internet. Anyway, we're going to talk about a bunch of stuff. Hope everybody's having a good night, by the way. It can't be that great if you're here with me, but it's still pretty good. Still pretty good. So first thing I'm going to show you is this video of this woman this incredibly entitled woman who gets cross on a first date because the date takes her to the cheesecake factory. So that's coming up. You know what? I just want to check something here. YouTube. Is YouTube up and running? Is there anybody on there? Hold on one second. I'm not sure we've got anything going on with YouTube here. Just give me a couple of seconds to see what is going on. Let's see, it's October 13th. That should be live right now. The hell is going on? I hate switching software. All right, just try and be patient with me here for a second. All right, sorry guys. Let me try something else out here. Okay, it looks good. YouTube is working. Thanks for your patience. All right. Oh, and I managed to get the YouTube chat up in the window too. Great. Thanks, Captain Super Straight. Great name. YouTube is working. Awesome. Okay, so where were we? So we were, so there's this awful woman. And then we're going to take a look at this story about this Philadelphia far left-wing activist who was shot in his own home. The story has, there's new details about it. We're going to go through that. Let's see. I'm also going to show you the Hamas charter because there's some interesting things in there. And I'm not getting into a lot of political stuff with what's happening in the Middle East. I just think that it's not something that people have seen what's actually in this thing. And it's just something factual that I think is just worth knowing. as you look at the news that's coming in all the time. And I don't have any answers, by the way, for anything. I don't have a Middle East peace plan, right? But we're going to take a look at that. Starbucks. The Starbucks Union has put out something regarding solidarity with Palestine that the owners of Starbucks they're not that keen on. We'll talk about that. After that, oh yeah, Henry Kissinger. He's saying that mass immigration of people with different values is a grave mistake. I kind of feel like there's been people saying that for a while, but anyway, we'll get into that. Oh yeah, here we go. This is to do with Bill C-18 in Canada, the Online News Act, which has been a complete disaster. Already, Facebook, Meta, Instagram are blocking Canadian news on there. Now Google is saying they're going to do the same thing. It's no big surprise. We'll get into that. Yeah, we're going to look at some stuff from Andy No here, which is always interesting. We've got two men winning the top two spots in a women's cycling race in Chicago. Another big win for the patriarchy. We're going to do weird news, which is, I think, something we're going to do. Just tack it on the end of every live stream from now on, because it's just fun. And then if you guys want to keep going after all that, we'll just go through Twitter and just look at some random stuff. And we'll see how that goes. All right, let's start out at the beginning. So, Dr. Jebra Fauché, and this is like a parody account, says this woman refused to get out of the car after her date took her to the Cheesecake Factory. She clearly deserves better, at least Outback Steakhouse. Which chain restaurant is a deal breaker for you? So this woman, and you're going to watch this, and it's incredibly irritating. Incredibly. But for one thing, she looks like she should be extremely happy to be going to the Cheesecake Factory. I think cheesecake, I think she likes cheesecake a lot. So I don't know what the problem is, but let's see. Let's see these insanely high standards.
Woo. Let me just get the door for you. Okay. He got me at the Cheesecake Factory, y'all. I ain't getting out this car. Yes.
Would you want me to open the door for you?
Okay.
Are you're recording me?
Yeah. Yeah. This is
The entitlement and narcissism here is just through the roof. She's recording him. She's turning it into like a social media thing. I mean, this is, can you imagine being stuck with somebody like, somehow got tricked into marrying somebody like this? Good Lord. That'd it. That'd be over. All joy in life would be gone.
the Cheesecake Factory. This is the Cheesecake Factory, y'all.
What's the problem with that?
This is a chain restaurant. Who takes someone that looks like this to a chain restaurant?
You want to talk about it?
Someone who looks like this? You mean fat? You mean a fat person? Who would take a fat person to the Cheesecake Factory? That would be my first guess of where to go. And for one thing, the Cheesecake Factory is awesome. It's delicious. And it's not cheap either. That could end up being an expensive night. You have some drinks. That could end up coming out to quite a few dollars. I'm not sure what the problem is. Well, I know what the problem is here. It's insane entitlement and narcissism that has been created by getting too much attention, unwarranted attention on social media, or undeserved attention.
I'm fine with talking about it, even in front of them.
Oh, yeah, I want to talk about it.
Yeah.
Come on, get up on in the car. Yeah, we're going to talk about it.
Now, what ends up happening, this cut off a little bit early. I watched another version earlier that's a bit longer, where he just says, well, I'm taking you home. And then she gets all upset. She can't really understand. It also turns out that he'd made reservations at another restaurant and she was late. So they missed them. So he was still trying to take her out, but he was taking her there instead of the original place that he'd planned because she didn't have the respect for him to show up on time. Good Lord. What percentage of the world is this now? Like this attitude. I think too much. However much it is, it's too much. If it's one person, it's too much. Good Lord. It makes you want to just like say that all social media, the internet should just go. There's a lot of things that make you think the internet should just go, you know? I mean, I wouldn't be that happy because I enjoy making videos, doing live streaming. I guess I'd have to start like printing up a newsletter or something. I guess I could do that. But no, I think internet is here to stay. I think social media is here today, here to stay, and dating apps are here to stay. And I don't know what humans are going to evolve into. Hopefully not too much of that. Anyway, pretty awful, right? Yeah, I think so too. All right, let's move on. So, there was that far left activist, journalist in Philadelphia, and he was one of the two who had just like a day before mocked a Dilbert guy. What's his name? Scott Adams on Twitter over some warning that Scott Adams had put out. And I don't think it's a great idea to go against Scott Adams here. I think he might have some sort of superpowers, some sort of mental abilities or something. I'm not sure, but he seems to end up being right about a lot of stuff, it turns out. And he had two activists criticizing him within days. Both of them had been murdered. So it seems like you can either be a far left activist or criticize Scott Adams on Twitter, but you can't do both. So anyway, the story was this guy was murdered in his house, and that's horrible. And I don't have any schadenfreude about anything like that. That is horrible. But he was praised in the media, and it says here that he was just trying to help the teen suspected in his murder. So what does help mean? Philly activist Josh Kruger had a drug-fueled sexual relationship with suspect at 15. Family claims. I don't know if this is true. This is what the family is saying. Keep in mind, this guy was a far-left activist. Family says that Kruger started a drug-fueled sexual relationship with Davis when he was just 15 years old. And again, I don't know if this is true. I mean, the family says it's true. Kind of feels like it might be true, you know? They would probably know. The family of Robert Davis, 19, who was accused of killing Philadelphia activist Josh Kruger, 39, claims that Kruger started a drug-fueled sexual relationship with Davis when he was just 15 years old. Before Davis allegedly shot Kruger, according to the police, Davis told them that Kruger was threatening to post sexually explicit videos of him online. Yeah, the left isn't sending their best, are they? This really, I mean, the thing is, this really does kind of fit in with the, I guess the kind of ethical norms of the modern far left. I'm not talking about the, lifelong Democrat voter who just votes Democrat every time. But I'm talking about these far left activists, right? The ones who are like advocating for a super inappropriate and pseudoscientific gender nonsense being taught to kids in school. Right? It all starts to make sense, doesn't it? Yeah. I don't know. What do you say? I mean, it's you see it, and again, I can't. I'm not it. I'm not a detective covering this case, right? But it all starts to feel kind of like the direction where, yeah. Anyway, let's move along. So I made a couple of videos this week, Monday and Thursday, where I just said, okay, the Hamas Charter, here's what's in it. Here's the things they say, the things that they say that they want, right? Just so you know, just for fact, right? There's a lot of stuff going around and there's a fog of war. So what do we actually know? What can we actually know? Well, we can just go to the documents, right? And I've been called a Zionist and all kinds of stuff for just showing this. I mean, this is really just a data point. It's like, here's something that's real that it might inform you in some way and how you think about this. And again, I don't have any answers. I don't have any Middle East peace plan, right? But at least it's worth knowing what this group actually says. So, I mean, the whole thing is just Allah, 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 all the way through, 24/7. But there are some interesting things in here. For instance, Article 13, there is no negotiated settlement possible. Jihad is the only answer. So that doesn't sound like two-state solution, right? That doesn't sound like peace plan. This is the charter, also known as the covenant. In fact, let's go to the beginning here. We'll just read this. The Hamas Covenant, or Hamas Charter, formerly known in English as the Covenant of the Islamic Resistance Movement, was originally issued on 18th August 1988 and outlines the founding identity, stand, and aims of Hamas. And in it, I mean, here, Article 13, there is no negotiated settlement possible. Jihad is the only answer. So, you know, it's probably good to know that, right? And I put this out on Monday, and then since then I've seen a bunch of people actually going to this document, which seems to make sense, right? So people have a lot of opinions, right? I don't know everything about it, but I can go to their founding document and see what it says. Defines the role of women as homemakers and child rearers. So there's one for the feminists. Every line of this is really something to do with religion. Let's see. Death for the sake of Allah is the loftiest of its wishes. So got that. Let's see. States that the day of judgment would not come until the Muslims fight and kill the Jews. So there's that too. Let's see. Oh yeah. And there is, where is it? Here we go. There's the credo. The credo of Hamas. And you know, I don't even want to read this again. You guys can see it on the screen. But it's, you know, the stones and the trees will cry out to the Muslims and tell them to kill the Jew hiding behind them. You know, none of this sounds like two-state solution or peace or anything like that, right? This is a founding document. Right? So, again, I don't have any solutions, but it's probably worth knowing that that's what their founding document says. So, there you have it. You can do with that as you will. And on that note, Starbucks disagrees with Union over its solidarity with Palestine post. And I bet they do. I think that Starbucks has been trying to distance itself from social justice stuff. I know that this year they toned down their Pride Month or season or whatever stuff, and there was some friction with their staff over that. So I think that Starbucks has watched what's happened with Target, with Bud Light, and said, "Whoa, I don't think we want that." Maybe this whole, being super woke and political, maybe this doesn't really work out so well when all we actually want to do is sell coffee and lots of it. And bagels, I guess, too. So, yeah, I think they're. I'm not surprised that Starbucks disagrees with the union. And it is just as predictable as you can have that the union is going to be woke and far left. And of course, you can predict every stance they're going to take, right? You can predict every stance. Of course, they're going to put that out. Now, is it everybody in the union? Doesn't really matter because what happens is that the most radical end up taking over whatever institution it is. They end up taking it over, just basically through, as far as I can tell, just through bullying and shaming. They just end up getting to the top and running the thing. Can you guys hear me on Rumble? Is that working? Please let me know in the chat. Thanks. All right. So what are they saying here? Starbucks on Wednesday criticized a message by its union about Hamas's terrorist attack on Israeli civilians. The union, Starbucks Workers United, posted solidarity with Palestine on social media platform X above an image of a bulldozer operated by Hamas tearing down a fence on the Gaza Strip during the attacks against Israel last weekend. So yeah, the bulldozer tearing down the fence, letting in people to do really awful stuff. The union's account has since deleted the tweet, but not before it sparked some calls for a boycott of Starbucks on social media. Starbucks Workers United did not respond to CNN's request for comment. And yes, this is exactly what corporations are starting to fear because the whole Bud Light thing, the Target thing, that worked. It had never really worked before, had it? All of a sudden, they had something to be afraid of, something to be more afraid of than random lunatics on Twitter freaking out, or a few of their purple-haired, workers freaking out. All of a sudden, they had something that was worse, like losing billions of dollars. That's worse. So Starbucks has obviously seen this, and they're wanting to tone it down, but unfortunately, they've got a communist union that is going to say crazy shit or shit that they don't like or things that are not going to benefit Starbucks. Starbucks does not want to get Bud Lighted. Now, it won't. It couldn't be that bad, I don't think, for Starbucks. But it certainly could hurt, and they're aware of that. In a separate post on X, SEIU, so that must be Starbucks Employees International Union, President Mary Kay Henry wrote that, quote, "The violence in Israel and Palestine is unconscionable. They stand with all who are suffering while strongly condemning anti-Semitism, Islamophobia, and hate in all forms. I pray for a swift resolution and a future where all in the region can be happy, safe, and live with dignity." So that is the replacement tweet. Starbucks themselves said in a post, "We unequivocally condemn these acts of terrorism, hate, and violence, and disagree with the statements and views expressed by Workers United and its members," Starbucks said in a post. Workers United words and actions belong to them and them alone. Yeah, they're like, Yeah, I mean, we didn't want a commie union in the first place, really. You know, they made us do it. We pretended to be woke and then we had to do it. And now we have to deal with these commies. We can't even get them to shave their damn armpits. God damn it. Starbucks is not about blue armpit hair. Well, now it is. Guess it's just too bad. All right. We're going through these pretty quick. So, Henry Kissinger, mass immigration of people with different values, a grave mistake. And I can't help but feeling that this sentiment might have been around before he said that. I'm surprised this is coming from Henry Kissinger. Basically, hasn't he been like an angel of death for decades now? So I'm surprised to hear this from him. With his crinkly hair and his glassy stare and his Machiavellian schemes. But yeah, I mean, mass immigration of people with different values, a grave mistake. There used to be something called the melting pot. And it wasn't just the United States. It's famous for the United States, but it kind of worked everywhere because, countries like Canada, for instance, didn't used to hate themselves. And the U.S. as well, right? As well as other places. And then, we were taught by revolutionary communists that actually we're terrible and that our cultures are awful and that everybody else is better. And then instead of having a melting pot where people, and also a responsible level of immigration where people could just kind of come in at a reasonable number where they could integrate into society, or you'd have to integrate into society, right? So there wouldn't just be basically a colony from whatever country that's there where you just plug into it. You don't need to learn English or anything else, and you don't need to integrate. So the West has made this mistake of going from melting pot to just do whatever the fuck you want. whatever ideas you bring, that's fine, right? That's just fine. And nothing could go wrong, obviously. Yeah, I don't know. Why did we let ourselves get talked into that again? Allowing mass amounts of people into a country who do not follow the country's fundamental values is a grave mistake, according to former U.S. Secretary of State Henry Kissinger. The century-old, so it was 100-century-old former diplomat sat in an interview with Germany's Welt TV and discussed Germany's current problems with social cohesion and institutional integrity after high numbers of immigrants and refugees have been allowed into the country. Reflecting on anti-Israel protests going on in Germany, Kissinger suggested that mass immigration was causing severe friction in German society. And that's been obvious for a long time. I think even Mother Merkel admitted it, didn't she? A few years ago, that multiculturalism had been a failure. I noticed there were some pretty large and rowdy rallies going on there in Germany for a certain supporting a certain terrorist group, I guess you'd call it. Quote, "It was a grave mistake to let in so many people of totally different cultures and religions and concepts because it creates a pressure group inside each country that does that." A pressure group. That's true. Kissinger, who fled Germany with his family in 1938, said that protesters marching through Berlin streets in support of Hamas's Saturday terrorist attack on Israel is a painful sight. Yeah, it's history has a weird habit of coming around full circle, doesn't it? pretty shocking. And everything that has led up to that was done in the name of empathy and just kind of general leftism. Nobody really cared where it was going as long as it felt left wing or empathetic. Empathy is actually blind empathy is a dangerous thing. You know, it's there's a great saying, I keep repeating it, from Douglas Murray, where he talks about leftists ending up having to deal with the consequences of their own ideology. And he described it as what happens when a masochist meets a true sadist. Yeah, we're seeing that. We're seeing that across the West these days. We know what happened in Israel. See, New York City's Democratic Mayor Eric Adams said that he was deeply disturbed by the message of hate urging violence in our communities. Where have these people been? You haven't been paying attention? I guess not. I guess they just haven't been paying attention. What they've all been doing is just paying attention to which way the wind is blowing. And if it feels left, if it feels empathy, you just go with that. You don't have to think about it. You know, you definitely don't want to do something that doesn't feel like it's left wing, right? Or progressive, because that would be right wing. And that would definitely be evil. Doesn't matter if it makes sense. Doesn't matter what reality is, you know? No, you don't. No, that would be right. No, right? That's bad. Even if it's something that was actually liberal virtue, 10, 20 years ago, like free speech, say. That doesn't feel liberal or left wing anymore. That feels right wing now for some reason. It's not like anybody's been telling them that. All right. Let's move on to the next rant. Google rejects Trudeau's olive branch, threatens new link block over new law. So this new law is the Online News Act. It's Bill C-18 in Canada. That's the reason why Canadians can no longer get news links on Facebook, Meta, Instagram, all of that. Basically what the law says, and it's insane, it's beyond stupid. It is so typical of the childishness of the Trudeau government, okay? This is the drama teacher regime at work, Bill C-18. Now, I think in a way this is actually working exactly to Trudeau's enjoyment. We'll get to that in a sec, though. So basically what the law says is that if a website, if somebody shares a link from a news story onto, say, Facebook, that Facebook would have to pay that news source. Doesn't make any sense because it's free advertising. This is why every single news website has a share button, because it's free advertising. They want people to share the link so that will bring people back to their website so then they can sell those people to advertisers. It's a plus. It's a bonus. It doesn't make any sense to say, Facebook, you have to pay that link, the person that link goes to, for their link being shared on your platform. It's like if you opened a restaurant and the government said that you have to pay the customers, you have to pay the patrons. They order the food, you feed them, and then you have to pay them. It makes no sense. They're ruining a free service for the media. And now Google is saying the same. Google has tried to work with them, but it's just such a childish, inane government that we have in Canada that it's impossible to work with them. Alphabet Inc.'s Google moved closer to blocking Canadians from viewing links on its search engine after it rejected government regulations meant to placate its concerns about an impending online content law. It's the latest blow to Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's government and its efforts to compel Google and Meta Platforms Inc. to negotiate payments with local publishers under the Online News Act, due to come into effect on December 19th. Google's move comes about a month after Meta similarly dismissed the regulations and said that it will continue blocking users in Canada from seeing news on Facebook and Instagram to avoid running afoul of the law. So what they're saying is that, well, this law is retarded and we're just not going to, we're just remove our services. So you just can't, you know, online news services in Canada can't share on our platform anymore. We're just removing ourselves from it. You're saying if we allow them to place links, we have to pay them. So we're saying, okay, well, we're not going to allow it then. Here's from a Google spokesperson. We continue to have serious concerns that the core issues ultimately may not be solvable through regulation and that legislative changes may be necessary. So what does this come down to? I think it serves Trudeau in that the big corporate media in Canada, CBC, Global, CTV, all of that, while they are going to lose revenue, obviously, by people not being able to share their content, it doesn't matter because Trudeau's going to bail them out anyway, right? And they know that Trudeau's going to bail them out. How much? I don't know. Maybe it depends on how much he likes their coverage. Maybe. I don't know, right? Who's not going to get bailed out by Trudeau? Independent media, particularly independent media that is critical of Trudeau. You know they're not going to get bailed out, right? What's not to like for Trudeau in this? Honestly, what's not to like? I mean, he looks like an idiot, but he wants to control the media. He's getting that out of this. The media becomes more dependent on him. You think he doesn't like that? Sure he does. All right. We're cruising along here. Is there anything that you guys out there want me to cover? By the way, so if there's something that you want to look at, let me know in the chat, and maybe we'll take a look. There was something from Andy No. Portland Antifa members are among those who joined the Palestine Direct Action in downtown, coinciding with the Hamas call to action. The rally was organized by Super, a Portland State student group that posted in support of the anti-Semitic terror group. There really is something wrong with the education system. I mean, it's poisoning the heart of Western civilization. And I think that Western countries need to have a serious look in the mirror. Like, I'm not sure it's an option to just let things keep going as they are, and hopefully they'll turn around somehow. No, these institutions are all run by like revolutionary communists, literally revolutionary communists. And they are poisoning as many young minds as they can every year. And they don't stop. And they are shameless. I mean, this is like it's a national security concern, isn't it? For any English-speaking country. Any country at all. At some point, like, we're going to have to come to terms with this. Like, is it a matter of denying funding? I don't see why taxpayers should be paying to turn their children and the next generation into a bunch of, Maoist Red Guards, into a bunch of communist revolutionaries. that will just blindly support, horrible things, horrible crimes. And the scary thing about them is their certainty, of course, because they're young, right? People in universities are young. And so they have that certainty. And that's what's really frightening. I think that's what Mao understood with the Red Guard, is that they're easily radicalized. And yeah, it's easy to get them to turn violent and to do terrible things. And we're all just kind of watching it happen. Scary. All right, let's keep moving. Well, here we have a great day for the patriarchy. Uh, we win again. Men win top 2 spots in women's cycling race in Chicago. Why do women let this happen? Why do they keep letting dudes win everything? I mean, they practice hard, they try hard, they're extremely motivated. Like, why do they just keep letting this happening? I don't get it. I mean, why don't they have a big march about this stuff? It just seems insane. I mean, it's surreal. This is just clown world. This is satire, only it's real life. 2 biological men won the top 2 spots and took home the top cash prizes in a women's cycling race in Chicago, leaving a sole female alone on the podium in 3rd place after the trans-identifying males raced in the competition. You know what? She was probably smiling. That's what you usually see. You'll see somebody who's a foot taller, in the top spot at the top of the pole, and then you'll see like a small woman with a big smile on her face, or 2 small women with big smiles on their faces. And it's like, really? You're not just a little bit resentful? Like, doesn't seem a little bit unfair to you? I know that some do. There's, what's her name? Riley Gaines. She's been very vocal. But a lot just seem to just kind of go with the flow. Find it kind of weird. Like, yeah, I know you tried hard, right? Like you practiced hard. You wanted to win. And like the fact that you didn't even have a chance doesn't bother you, I think is a bit strange. It happened on October 7th at the Chicago Cyclocross Cup, where Tessa Johnson, 25, took home the gold in the women's single speed and cat half categories, followed by Evelyn Williamson, 30, who took the silver in the single speed contest. The bronze went to female Allison Zumuda in the single speed race. In 2020, Williamson raced in both the men's and women's categories. Really? In both the men's and women's, where he won first place in the women's and didn't even place against the men. Oh, that's interesting. So in 2020, ran in both the men's and the women's, won first place in the women's, didn't place in the men's, and decided, maybe I'll just do the women's from now on. How can you even make this up? It's beyond satire. I swear that the left is trying to kill satire. And it's exactly what they're doing. How could you make up things that are more ridiculous than this? This would have been, a Monty Python sketch or something. Linda Blade says race organizers of USA Cycling need to stop calling these women's events. You are fooling nobody. These are beta male races where some women get to be involved. In the process, you are turning your sport into a joke. So, beta male races where some women get to be involved. I guess they get the participation medal. Yeah, I mean, why call them women's events? You are fooling nobody, she says. Yeah, I mean, everybody knows. It's, one of those places where I think nobody cared. I certainly have never cared if somebody, identified or dressed as the opposite sex of what they are biologically. It was never a thing. It's once it started getting into everything, into stuff like this, into women's sports. I mean, obviously, there are going to be female athletes who go, well, yeah, but I mean, it's not really a women's event anymore, is it? I mean, it's pretty clear there's an advantage here. It's pretty clear that it's not fair. And I mean, don't get me started on this pseudoscientific gender nonsense that's being pushed in schools. I mean, that's just a whole nother issue, which I've ranted about at length in many of my videos. It's this thing it's this abstract. They've turned gender, which used to just be a synonym for sex. They've turned it into this new thing and redefined it uh, as this abstract concept, which is essentially the progressive soul, really. It's this abstract concept that you can't really prove. Like, how can you prove that you're gender void or omnigender, right? How can you prove that? You can't, because it's made up, obviously. Frog gender, which is a real, well, they think it's a real thing. You can't really prove that, right? They're these pseudoscientific abstract concepts that you're asked to just believe. You know, it's literally an article of faith in the woke cult and the woke cult religion. And so you end up with these just a travesty, these absurdities, these utter absurdities. I mean, there's the winner there. So let's make that a little bit bigger. So the obvious man won. Right? I mean, it's just obvious. I mean, I don't know. That's Monty Python. If that's not Monty Python, maybe we should move on. How long have we been going for? 47 minutes. All right. Again, you guys, if you guys want me to talk about anything else, put it in the chat and we'll go there before we tune out. We don't have that much more to go, so you probably do it fairly soon. All right. Let's see if there's anything in weird news that's of interest. So let's see. Female frogs pretend to be dead to avoid horny males. So I guess that's the frogs there. You know what? Kind of reminds me a bit of my ex-wife. Okay, let's skip that story. Naked selfie of Biden's brother turns up on gay dating site. What? Now, I mean, it's kind of funny, sure, but I don't really care. I don't really care that that's what Biden's brother is doing. I mean, whatever, fine. He's not the president, and you know he should probably be a bit more careful, you know, with his passwords or whatever. But you know, I don't care. I mean, as long as you know the profile doesn't have something about 10% for the big guy, you know, it's fine. He's a private citizen, and you know, in that context, I don't even know what 10% for the big guy would mean, but I feel like it does mean something. I'm not imaginative enough to figure it out. Anyway, it's gross. Let's see. You know, sometimes in this weird news section, they have stuff that's not really weird. Victim killed by falling mast on Maine schooner carrying tourists was a doctor. How is that weird news? That's not. That's a stretch. I don't care. What else we got here? Where did the news go? Okay. Penis enlargement commercials cause big brouhaha on Ghana TV. All right, maybe we'll take a look at this. The long and short of it is that the TV airwaves in Ghana are overrun with penis enlargement commercials. Huh, well, that's so interesting. I never knew that. We have to find out more about this. Okay. Oh, okay, this page kind of sucks. Okay. Let's see. Now, award-winning Ghanaian musician Gladstorm Kwabena Akwaboa Jr., whose stage name is Akwaboa, is expressing his concern over the big phallus phenomenon. He has slammed the appendage ads as disturbing and does not believe commercials benefit Ghana in any way. What is going on in Ghana? What is the matter? I was here making plans for my Lighthouse album, and I decided to take a break and watch television. There he is. He's watching television. He's just taking a break. And all that I keep seeing was various penis enlargement products, advertisements. Are men in Ghana crawling? So for Ghanaians, all that we think about is sex, right? When will you teach us how to make money or teach us the word of God? I think it's time to change our mindset. Well, maybe he's got a point there. On One Ghana TV, an infomercial features a rabbi instructing men on how to make it big, strong, with pawpaw. I don't know what that is. The singer calls the hypersexuality of the ads worrisome and believes the nation needs a shift in its priorities. So maybe he just doesn't want other dudes getting larger dongs. Maybe that's it. You know? Maybe he tried it and it didn't work. And now he's worried it's going to work for other people. Could be. I don't know. But I don't know. It's in Ghana, so I guess it doesn't really affect me at all. What else have we got? Oh, there's some old ones there. None of this is really weird news. Oh, here's something. Dog born with 6 legs found abandoned in parking lot. Huh. Born with 6 legs. Well, that is an adorable puppy, but also kind of an abomination. So I don't know what to think. I mean, I guess if somebody said, hey, there's this 6-legged puppy, it's really cute. Or maybe what they would just say is, hey, I've got this puppy. It's adorable. Will you take care of it? You know, do you want it? And you'd say, yeah. And then they'd say, by the way, it's got 6 legs. I don't know. I don't know. Because again, it's adorable. But there's some part at the back of your mind that thinks, abomination, right? So I don't know. I guess I would, but I don't know. It would be uncomfortable. And you'd have to explain to people, you know, like when they're coming over, you have to tell them beforehand, you know, yeah, I've got a dog. It's a great dog. Just to let you know, it's got 6 legs. Would some people be like, I don't know if I want to go over anymore? I think some people would actually. And I feel bad because what a cute, adorable dog. I mean, I don't know the dog. I don't know what's going on in its mind. It could be evil, right? But probably not. I don't know. Would you guys have a 6-legged dog? I mean, if you had a choice between a regular 4-legged dog and then a 6-legged dog, but nobody knew anything about this choice that you had to make. Right? It would be private forever. Nobody would know that you chose a 4-legged dog over a six-legged dog. It would just be you and God, right? What would you do? I think I know what you'd do. I think you'd take the four-legged dog. All right. We're almost on an hour now, so maybe then we'll do a quick look through Twitter first, and then we'll call it a night. Doesn't seem like there's too many people watching right now. Let's see, Asheville Trantifa. So I guess Trantifa is Antifa, but also trans. Activist Claire Clark, who says her enemies are in the U.S., not Palestine, and this is at the Hamas celebration rally, used to be a redneck fisherman before being radicalized to the far left. So now he's a member of the Party for Socialism and Liberation. How does that happen? Let's take a look at some of these pictures. So this is an Antifa shrine thing. Well, I guess this is the guy originally. So yeah, redneck fisherman, likes fishing, and yeah, seems pretty happy there. I don't know what happened. Now is that, which looks a bit like Mango from Saturday Night Live. I don't know if you remember that, but I'm going to say not an improvement. Yeah, there's the Antifa shrine, and I guess there's the fisherman there. I would say might want to invest in a sports bra. Let's see, legal abortion once and for all. Okay, so there you have it. That's what far leftism and communism does to people. It turns them into that. What else do we got? Anything of interest here? Yeah, a bunch of stuff about Middle East. This guy is the leader of CUPE, the Canadian Union of Public Employees. And yeah, he's very big on pseudoscientific gender nonsense in schools. And also, he immediately, before there were any reprisals or anything from Israel, immediately came out on behalf of the union, which is 700,000 people. It's the biggest union in Canada in support of the Hamas attacks. I mean, what else can you assume it was? I mean, this is before Israel had struck back at all. So he just was out immediately ahead of it and to state his support, the support of the union, which I have to think there's a lot of union members that are paying dues that are thinking, this guy does not represent me and my interests. He's supposed to be just, dealing with our wages, that sort of thing. Why is he weighing in on all these other things? When there was the Million March for the parents that were protesting because they wanted to have, this is in Canada, they wanted to have a say in what was happening to their children's schooling, what's happening in the schools, and specifically being informed about their children's mental health at school, like transitioning. So if you had a woke teacher that was telling your kid they were born in the wrong body and they were transitioning the kid at school with new names and all that social transitioning, they call it, the parents want to know. This guy using union funds to print up banners and bus people in was the counter protest to that, to parents. And of course, calling everybody Nazis and blah, 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 all the usual. These guys are in a bit of confusion these days because this guy went a little bit too far. I think his days might be numbered as the head of that union. Rightfully so. Look, picture of Che Guevara in his office, right? Like, fuck off. Can you be less predictable? Less of a caricature, please? Thank you. All right. What else have we got? This was kind of interesting. A toxic idea has infatuated academics everywhere. Decolonization, which classifies people into only two groups, settler and indigenous. Anyone deemed indigenous is entitled to claimed lands and has moral authority to resist so-called occupation. Settlers, illegitimate occupiers, are morally reprehensible and deserve whatever indigenous resistance comes their way. Excellent assessment by whoever that is at the National Post. Decolonization is a toxic myth in Canada and elsewhere. Yeah, it's one of those. It's like a cape they put on certain people that they're just invulnerable to all criticism, right? And you just have to do what they say apparently, or because you're a colonizer, you're a settler, you're an occupier, right? Guess what? The whole fucking world has been colonized and settled at one time or another, dozens of times, hundreds of times. This is the history of the world. Trying to, but it's such an obvious tool, though, of basic revolutionary communists, the people that have taken over all of the institutions, especially at the universities. This is a tool they use to divide people, right? Don't actually care about any of it or any of the people, right? When they talk about diversity, for instance, there's an easy tell that they don't actually care about the people they pretend to care about, right? When they talk about diversity, they don't mean diversity of opinion, diversity of ideas. No, they mean skin color, but they only mean skin color or some other trait if you agree with them. Because if you don't agree with them, then you're not diverse anymore. And this actually seems to make sense to these people. As an example, I would give you Larry Elder, who is brilliant, and I'm a huge fan, but he's black and he's conservative. The LA Times, when he was challenging Governor Gavin Newsom in California during the recall, the LA Times ran a headline about Larry Elder that called him the black face of white supremacy. The black face of white supremacy. That shows you how much they really care about diversity, right? No, they care about you fucking agreeing with them. They care about you sitting down and shutting the fuck up and doing what you're told. And all this shit is just, it serves that goal, right? Settlers and occupiers all ultimately have to all agree to the same crazy far left nonsense. Otherwise, they don't get the title, you know? If you are indigenous, it doesn't matter if you don't agree with them. If you don't agree with, elite white leftists, well, you lose your indigenous status in their eyes. Now you become an oppressor. That's how much they care. We can see it happening in front of our eyes. These are the ultimate hypocrites. It is just a totally incoherent system of doublethink and cognitive dissonance. And what's going on? Radio Streamer says this is on Rumble. People don't migrate. We are born and die in one place with less movement than amoeba. It's an asinine argument about colonization. Well, people do migrate. I mean, in Canada, there's been mass immigration during the Trudeau years. There was a lot already beforehand. In the southern border in the United States, I think it's been 7 million people crossed since Biden got into office. Many people stay in the same place. But, no, I mean, people do migrate. They migrate a lot, actually, especially these days. And there's a lot more to come. Anyway, where was I? I was ranting. I was in the middle of a rant. Oh, I see. It was a joke. Okay, I get it. Sorry. You know what? It's late. It's late right now. What time is it? 12:37, and I've already been ranting for an hour. So my apologies. These people from Radio Streamer, these people will say whatever is convenient for political expediency. I could not have said that better myself. 100%. 100%. There is no core real belief there. Yeah, get on with it. Uh, I'm just glad to see that the chat works. So I was ranting about far leftists. What was that? What could I be? Just about how the entire framework of modern leftist thought is incoherent, and it has to be because it's full of just doublethink, right? There's no real core to it. It's why it's so easy for them to just go along with the flow, right? Something feels like it should be left wing. That feels like the right thing to do because it feels left, or maybe even more precisely, it feels like it's not right wing or conservative in some way. So if it feels right, and now we see that comes into conflict occasionally with the real world, like we've seen with this, all of the support and the marches in favor and the tweets in favor of Hamas immediately after the attacks in Israel, right? This before there were any reprisals from Israel, and a lot of confusion. Ryan Long did a very funny sketch on that I saw on YouTube, and I'm sure you can see it on Rumble too. I would check that out. Ryan Long, he's pretty funny, but this is maybe his best one, where it's a Hollywood person who's trying to figure out who they're supposed to support that will be best for their career, or at least won't get them canceled. Israel or Palestine, he doesn't know, right? And he's trying to figure it out. Very funny. I would check that out. All right. Let's see what's next in here. Tristan Hopper. He's a good Canadian journalist. I like him. What's happening is a tell. If a university or a union can endorse or excuse the mass slaughter of revelers at a music festival, how can you possibly trust them on any other issue? And then you realize how many other issues we trusted them on. Well, I haven't been trusting them, right? And I have a feeling that most of the people that are watching this stream or watch my content don't trust them either, right? So, but it is a tell for a lot of people. I'm actually not surprised that we've seen this from universities and university unions, or just unions like CUPE. I'm not surprised to see it, but I think it is a wake-up call for a lot of people, And again, I think Western societies, and I'll talk about, English-speaking societies, need to have a look in the mirror, need to have a conversation with ourselves about what are we doing exactly it's not a matter of, I'm not saying that we should be banning speech or anything, but I'm saying, should we be funding professors to poison the minds of children with crazy nonsense? You have to show people pictures, otherwise CNN tells them what to think, not how. Well, yeah, that is the job of legacy media, right? That's why so many people are moving to independent sources, independent analysis, It's not that many of you, but you're here listening to me, right? But, like Tim Pool, huge, right? Joe Rogan, you'll hear things that you're not going to hear on CNN or even on Fox News, right? So yeah, it's hard to, stuff like CNN has just become such a joke, that it's almost like they're not worth even really paying attention to or even thinking about anymore, because you're not going to get anything from them other than you're going to learn about manipulation, right? If you want to pay attention and see how they're manipulating you, that's interesting, I guess, and also nobody's watching them anymore. I think CNN gets less viewers than like a Tim Pool, say, But yeah, I don't trust them on anything, and I haven't for a long time. It's not that everything is wrong. It's just that you can't trust any specific thing. You have to verify everything, and it ends up being a lot of work. Um, but yeah, there's a conversation that needs to be had. The West needs to have with itself. Do we want to pay universities to poison young people's minds? I'm not sure that's a great idea. Maybe we should talk about that. Maybe that should be something that an issue in an election, say, maybe in 2025 in Canada, if the election doesn't come sooner. There's another question too around mass immigration, which absolutely needs to be had. I mean, for the people that are horrified by the marches, um, by the support, by what people are supporting, maybe it's time now that we had a discussion about immigration and maybe how much is a good idea, and maybe we should find out about the people before they come here. Maybe we shouldn't just have mass, unrestrained, unverified immigration, unvetted. Maybe that's a bad idea. I mean, when you think about it, could be a bad idea, right? I think there's a lot of horrified liberals that are they'll probably be warming up to that idea now. And I mean like actual liberals, not like far leftists. There's a lot of people calling themselves liberals who are just far left authoritarians, right? As for the actual liberals, I don't think there's actually that many left anymore. I'm talking about people who would defend free speech, say, even for people whose ideas they hate, right? Radio Streamer says if it's on TV, it's opinion with a small amount of state-approved news. Yeah, true. 100%. 100%. I think people are increasingly starting to clue into that. They're not just getting the straight goods. Well, I mean, I did a video earlier on the week, I believe it was on Monday, about the CBC exec who had instructed the CBC journalists to not use the word terrorism in stories about the Hamas attacks. This was right as they were happening, right? Now, in my video, I pointed out that the Canadian government actually, by the way, in that guidance, and it was like a fact-checking guidance from the CBC exec, he had said that if it's used in context with politicians or the government, that you should put quotes around terrorism, right? Now, I pointed out that the Canadian government lists Hamas as a terror organization. So it would not be surprising if a politician refers to them in that way, right? Like, you don't need the quotes, right? And then I showed the Hamas charter, which you can take it for what you want. But if you read it, I mean, they're pretty explicit about what their goals are, right? And it's not peace. Again, you can find it in 2 seconds. Just type in Hamas charter or Hamas covenant. It will come up. The first result, you can read for yourself. You can do with that as you will. As I've said many times, I don't have a peace plan, right? But that's basically a data point that you can use just for your own understanding. Well, it looks like we've got Hot Retarded Chicks in the chat. Did you just get in? Did you just join? I always have to say, this is on YouTube. Hot Retarded Chicks. I still claim, I haven't seen anything to beat it. I believe that is the greatest name that's ever been on YouTube, maybe on all of social media. I think it's hilarious. Captain Super Straight says, nice, which is also a great name. I'm not running you down, Captain Super Straight. Nice insight learning how to manipulate from mainstream media. Yeah, watch them and you watch their tricks, right? Find out about their tricks. It'll help protect you. Just Radio Streamer over on Rumble. Just call them what they are, butchers. The video is very hard to watch. I know. Yeah, butchers. Yeah. It's horrific. I don't know how anybody could defend that. I mean, it's just, you have to almost be a sociopath, or maybe actually be a sociopath. Um, but yeah, you're right. Videos are very hard to watch. And I feel like it's like, I don't want to watch them because it almost feels like you lose a part of yourself. You know, it's gazing into the abyss, you know? Anyway, yeah, that's depressing. Where are we going now? Oh yeah. So yeah, this from the CUPE Union boss, from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. You know, now we know what they mean by from the river to the sea, right? We know what that means. That means no Jews there at all. And yeah, they're not going to buy charter flights for them out of town either, right? Just read the charter. Read the Hamas charter. Tells you everything you need to know. Let's see. What else have we got? Oh yeah, that poor woman. Let's refresh this. Let's see. What does this say? I warn liberals that Trudeau will use you and throw you under the bus, just like he did with former Speaker Rota. And I have proof. I don't know if I want to watch that, actually. Let's keep going. I'm getting tired. What's going on? So this guy says apparently protesting is now occurring on Canadian soil. Whatever happened to our peaceful, happy country? Trudeau happened. I mean, it's not just Trudeau. I mean, this was beginning before him, but he's just accelerated to a pace where the consequences of his mass immigration policies are now permanent, right? So there's going to have to be, Canada is not going to be the same anymore, right? And he's not going to slow up. It's reckless. It's reckless. It's not like anybody who's against, like absolutely no person will ever emigrate to Canada ever again. No, it's just do it reasonably, right? Not recklessly, not insanely. Do it so you can integrate people. Let's see. Let's see. Just show your next college student the video and ask them again along with that quote. Yeah, truckers ruined it. It was the truckers. Yeah, sure. Yeah, I mean, I, I don't think there'll ever be a point where they stop going on about the truckers. Let's see. I don't know if there's. I was hoping to find something kind of light that we could look at just to end this thing off. Uh, what is that? That's some cleaning thing. Actually, that does look pretty handy, but maybe I'll investigate that on my own later. If terrorists from Brett Weinstein, who I like, if terrorists can force the hand of mighty nations through acts of unimaginable barbarism directed against civilians, we should expect ever more shocking acts of barbarism to be inflicted on civilians as terrorists struggle to maintain control of the mighty armies they command. So, if terrorists can force the hand of mighty nations through acts of unimaginable barbarism, we should expect ever more. Well, I think James Lindsay talks about it quite a lot, that the action is the reaction. So for the left in the West, act like Antifa, for instance, the action is your reaction, right? And clearly, Hamas did not think they were going to conquer Israel on that day, right? They're obviously trying to create a reaction that to rally other countries, I guess the neighboring countries like Jordan, Lebanon, etc., to their side to escalate it, right? Um, yeah. So, I mean, that has to be the goal, right? Is to try and get Israel to respond, and then they can use that as propaganda to rally more support around themselves. And we saw that there was the call from the leader of Hamas, who's in Qatar, for the global day of jihad, right? Um, I guess the problem for Israel is that if you've got a government, Hamas, that's controlling that area, Gaza, and they are not interested in peace, and every bit of aid money they get, they spend building tunnels and building weapons to use against Israel. Um, at some point, I guess, uh, people would say, well, you need to remove that government because they have no intention of peace. You can see it in their charter. Um, you have to do something. I'm not sure this is playing out the way that they had expected, you know, but we will see. Just play a random puppy video from Radio Streamer. Just play a random puppy video, or in my case, an old radio being aligned. That makes a great palate cleanser. That does sound nice, actually. I don't have any puppy videos handy. I did. I don't know if you missed it, but I did do a part on a six-legged puppy, which very adorable. Also an abomination. Um, yeah, let's move on. Oh yeah, I did. Actually, this was my video earlier. Sunny Hostin from The View compared Hamas to the Proud Boys. So, why do people watch this? Let's listen to what she said here. She sounds like just a complete.
Sunny, you want to say something?
No, I look at this from a legal perspective, and I think that we all know that Hamas has been designated a terror organization, just like many other terror organizations have had this designation, like the Proud Boys here in the United States.
Go ahead, Sunny, you want to say something?
No,
Okay, you know what the problem with that is? Is that the Proud Boys are not a designated terror group in the United States. I mean, I guess she thinks it sounds smart to say from a legal perspective. Apparently, she is actually a lawyer, but no, it doesn't sound very smart because they're not a designated terror group. So this is just a stupid. Why throw that in there? It's like they've got this cognitive dissonance. There's something has happened where it's not quite as clear for them what they're supposed to be doing because there's some leftists that are for one side and there's some leftists that are for another side. And it's all very confusing. And I think it's maybe just like a safety raft or something, or, they can just put on like, oh, well, Proud Boys, didn't say Trump. I kind of expected her to just start saying Trump over and over again because it just feels safer. It just makes her feel safe. Like now she's in her safe place where everything makes sense again. Proud Boys, right? Nothing to do with Hamas, not a designated terror group. But it just makes her feel safe, Maybe she could have just started chanting, January 6th, insurrection, insurrection, just to make everything make sense again. Kevin Smith says YouTube is not very content creator friendly. I know. I've noticed that over these years that I've been making these videos. Yeah, they don't seem to, well, they're not helping me at all. I've had like a strike and I've been demonetized and then remonetized and fuck. I would be happy if everybody just went to Rumble. Just followed me on Rumble and I just didn't have to think about YouTube anymore, Um, eventually that's going to happen because YouTube will just demonetize or cancel everybody who's the slightest bit interesting, right? And they'll have to go somewhere else. And then Rumble will have to fight every world government that wants to shut them down because they hate free speech. But I don't know. I guess we'll have to see what happens. Yeah, comparing Hamas to the Proud Boys, it must be a strange time for these kind of wealthy elitist celebrity leftists. It's a confusing time for them, isn't it? Oh, and radio streamer saying this is in reference to the Proud Boys. They should know that the charter is 40% not white. Yeah, it's actually diverse. Proud Boys are diverse, which is just also the leader is Asian Pacific. I think he is Afro-Cuban, I believe. And he's been sent away for a long time. He wasn't even at January 6th, and it's terrifying, terrifying. But anyway, all right, depressing shit. But yeah, not very effective as a white supremacist group when you're more diverse than like the Democratic Party. All right, is there something? Somebody must have posted something that's just nice on Twitter. I know I haven't, but somebody must have. All right, let's keep going. Let's see. No, not nice. No. No. What's this? Falcon Heavy Side Boosters Landing. Is it going to come up? Ooh, well, that's cool. You know what? Just a word, just off topic here. I've been reading this trilogy of science fiction novels. The first one is, I think it's called Remembrance of Earth's Past or something. The first one is called The Three Body Problem. Might have heard of it. The second one is The Dark Forest, and the third one is Death's End. Altogether, it's about 1,500 pages, and it's astonishingly good, like incredibly imaginative. Just I don't even know how to describe it. It's just utterly epic and philosophical and but science fiction. So it's so great. It's like taking that form to the furthest level you can possibly can. It's awesome. I would highly recommend these books. They're engrossing. They're incredible. And it's hard to even, it's like just saying science fiction doesn't really do it credit. I mean, this is genuinely brilliant literature. So I would highly recommend those books. What do we got here? No, I don't want that. No. Oh, no. Nope. It's all horrible things. No, nothing else horrible. All right. You know what? You know what we're going to do? Fuck it. Fuck it. We're going to look something up. If my computer will work. Okay, here we go. We genuinely need a palate cleanser. Puppies. Let's see if we get anything. Oh, Radio Streamer says, now imagine if Netflix makes it. Sorry, I know. I saw that. And it's going to be fucking awful. Why? Like this, no, it's not going to work. This series would be basically impossible to do. And it's already, quote unquote, diverse, the story. So they're going to, that's going to confuse them. So they're going to have to do, like some sort of like ultra diverse thing that'll wreck it. I don't know I don't know how they're going to wreck it, but I know they're going to wreck it. Let's see. Now look at that. My God. Do you know what? I think they're best friends, and that's a beautiful thing. What about this one? Shep crying when his puppy saw Taylor. Well, who's Taylor?
I know, snort. Oh, the snorts. Oh my God, you've gotten so big, a little chunk.
He's crying.
Little chunk.
I mean, it's nice, but
Hi, monkey.
He gained 3.5 pounds, Taylor.
3.5. Yeah, right.
gained 3.5 pounds.
33.5
I mean, is it
Hi, buddy.
okay? It's nice, but is it really worth crying over? I'm gonna say no. Hot Retarded Chicks says YouTube hates art. They do hate art. They're evil. You can check out Hot Retarded Chicks' YouTube channel as well. He does some weird stuff on there, trippy stuff. If you take LSD, ever, I don't, but if you do, you might want to check out his channel. He's got some trippy stuff on there. You may enjoy it. At least the last time I checked. Well, look at that. Puppy slippers. So are these, especially for dog, so you put you get a photo of your dog and you put it on your slippers. I don't know. It's so cheesy and corny and in a sense kind of desperate that I kind of want to do it just to know what it feels like to sink that low, I guess. What's going on here? Oh, good Lord. We got to check this out.
Hello. Hello.
Well, it stopped. I hope that wasn't the part where Hamas just ran in. That would be an awful dog video surprise. Good Lord, look at these sausage rolls right here. Oh, yeah. Is that even real? Is that like a cartoon? They're all dreaming about ripping children's faces off when they grow up. It's lovely. Couple of dogs there. What's down the stairs? Oh, there's something. Somebody's coming up. Uh-oh. What's happening? Do they know who that is? Is that a stranger? Good Lord. Well, that was definitely worth it. Adorable puppy are so cute. Isn't that the truth? I don't know. Okay, so I feel like that was a nice palate cleanser. How do you guys feel? Should we go back? Should we dare? Let's go to latest. What's going on here? Cristiano Ronaldo facing 99 lashes for Iranian adultery charge connected to hugging and kissing a disabled unmarried woman on her forehead. Ronaldo was in the country to play Al Nassr's Asian Championships League game against Persepolis on September 19th. Okay, hold on. This can't be real. But before the match happened, he was greeted by Fatima Hamimi. She creates art with her feet due to a disability. She handed over 2 ultra-realistic drawings of the 38-year-old, and as a thank you, Ronaldo embraced her and gave her a peck on the forehead And now she's going to prison for the rest of her life, I guess. In Iran, it's reportedly considered adultery to touch another woman while in a relationship. The soccer player, of course, has been in a long-time partnership with some woman. Multiple outlets reported this week that Ronaldo's actually being sentenced to 99 lashes over it all. However, at least one report said he can escape the punishment if he shows remorse for his actions. Do you think they'd really give Ronaldo 99 lashes? I'm not sure. In fact, I don't believe that at all. I would believe, though, they do something horrible to that poor woman. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised by that. Radio Streamer says, for what it's worth, I found you on Rumble first. Well, thank you, sir. That's excellent news. The poodle would give me a mild heart attack. I know, an adorable heart attack. What's going on here? I miss the way Trump used to say China. The way Dom used to cover people with super threads instead of pushing mainstream media narratives. Okay, I don't know what that last part's about, but I do miss Trump saying China. That was fun. Trump was hilarious. Do you guys think that Trump's going to win in 2024? Tell me what you think. I don't know. I worry for Trump. I would be happy if Trump won. I think it would be very good for the Western world, but the world in general. I noticed a lot of really bad shit started happening once Biden got in, which has affected like all the other countries too. You know, it's kind of what's the saying that when the U.S. sneezes, the rest of the world catches a cold? That is really true. He won't win even if he does. So, yeah, there might be some, what did they call it? Time Magazine. Fortification. Yeah, that is a concern, isn't it? From what I'm hearing, it doesn't sound like the Republicans are really on the case, like making sure that that weird shit doesn't happen. I mean, I don't know why that would be. The establishment doesn't want Trump either, you know, as well as the Democrats and the deep state and all the rest of it. I could show you this from Radio Streamer. I could show you so many videos I saved before they got deleted from the internet from a lot of swing states. I got a video deleted because I just quoted Trump. I was being actually fairly careful in the video. I just quoted like one sentence from Trump. And apparently I had to put in countervailing evidence or something like that. I got a strike on my channel, which is still there. It's a permanent strike. And yeah, the video got deleted. And actually that was one of the few live streams I did before I started these regular Saturday night ones that I started a few weeks ago. That was one of the few live streams I did where I did a YouTube censorship stream. Heart retarded chick says quantum shit. What does that mean? Heart retarded chicks is you know, he's very fond of writing cryptic things. So I don't know what that means. You're gonna have to describe it. You're gonna have to explain it to me. All right. Lord forbid you quoted the CDC in 2021. Yeah, exactly. Right. Would have also got a strike. A lot of people did. You know what is so fucking retarded too is that all those people who lost their channels, a lot of people lost their livelihoods. They got demonetized or lost their channels entirely for saying things that ended up being true, right? But there was no redemption for any of these people. You know, YouTube didn't say, oh, it turns out you were right. You know, you were right about not preventing transmission, say, right? Or masks, right? None of that. I mean, I guess there was some with Twitter, now X. But for a lot of people, they lost big audiences. They lost their livelihood. How retarded chicks, you need to explain what you mean by quantum shit. I don't know what that means. Says he's thinking. Okay. I will keep the stream going long enough to get your response, even though it's getting late. And we've been going for an hour and 40 minutes. Holy shit. Okay. But yeah, radio streamers, totally correct on all of that. Just insane. On stuff that, like, not that long after, they're like, oh yeah, well, that actually is real, you know? What do we got here? I don't know what that is. Well, there's the painting that Iranian woman, who seems like just a lovely person there, painted of Ronaldo. That's a very good, and she did that. She did that with her feet. That's remarkable. That is remarkable. Wow, that's impressive. You know, I really hope that she's not getting harassed by the, pardon me, by the Iranian government for getting a hug from Ronaldo. You know. Now, How Retarded Chicks is saying, that's what I mean. And then it's got like a emoji of a head like blowing up, it looks like to me. So I'm still not clear on it. I got to be honest. I mean, I appreciate it. But you know, I'm still not certain here. But again, I mean, you know, How Retarded Chicks can say what he likes as far as I'm concerned. All right. So what else we got here? We've got that. Now, usually this is in in reference to something else, but apparently it's just that. So okay, well, that's fine, I suppose. What else we got? Oh, wait a second. Oh, wait, we're back on the puppies again. No, I don't want that. Let's go to the latest. More cute dogs. How do I get away from the dogs? Okay. Says, this is not World War III, but this will absolutely cause World War III the same way this mentality in World War I caused World War II. So, yeah, I mean, it seems like we're perpetually on the brink of World War III these days, doesn't it? More puppies. So I guess Twitter's just decided that all we want to see is puppies now. Well, let's just get rid of that. All right. Go away. We're done with puppies. All right. How about people? Let's go to people. What the fuck? More puppies? God damn it. What's happened? Is Twitter broken? It's only showing puppies now? Okay, so now we're back to just horrible things again. Oh, what's this? Okay, Tristan Hopper. Should the political winds soon change to a point where social science departments, nonprofits, and the CBC are being righteously severed from the taxpayer monies that sustain them? I'll be happy to remind you of the time they looked evil in the face and saw a friend. Yeah, a lot of people will. I think there's a lot of support for defund the CBC, especially in Canada. I've been saying it for ages now. Yeah, it's interesting. You know, we seem to reach these points where it feels like it's reached a tipping point for the craziness. And you think, okay, things are going to start to go back to more normal now. And then they don't. You know, so I guess we'll have to see. Now, Pierre Poilievre, who's the leader of the Conservative Party in Canada, is vowing to defund the CBC and turn their headquarters into apartments because there's such a huge housing problem in Canada. I would love to see that. So I guess we'll have to see. I mean, politicians make promises. I'm fairly hopeful with Poiliev. I know that we're going to have to, if he gets elected in 2025. Right now, there's a big lead. So it looks like we're heading to majority territory in our parliamentary system here, where the Conservatives won't need any of the other parties to pass legislation, which would be a great thing. I'm a little concerned about the immigration thing because I'm not really hearing. I mean, I've heard a little bit from them that sounded promising in terms of like having basically like common sense immigration. But we're gonna have to push them because I think the tendency is to become, especially now with conservative parties, is to become just whatever the left is light. So there'll be a tendency, I think, to go Trudeau light on some things, and that's not going to be fucking good enough. It looks to me like in the UK that the Conservative Party there is kind of just Labour light. And I know people aren't happy, and it's not even benefiting them because it looks like they're not going to do well in their next election. All right. I think that's probably it, guys. I'm tired. What time is it? Yeah, it's late. All right. I think that's going to be it. Let's take a last look at the comments here. If only give them cameras, it would be better TV from Radio Streamer. And Retarded Chicks is saying God knows, and then Dog obeys. Can't argue with that. It was worth the wait. Worth the wait. I guess that's it, guys. I'm tired. Should we do it again next Friday? I think so. I'll be here. I think the next Friday we can do it. The Friday after that, I'm not sure. May not be able to do it on that Friday. Maybe another night of the week. I don't know. But I'll try. But anyway, I'll